seat. So I saw him a few minutes. I looked back and I saw him walking through the churchyard, real easy like, you know. I reached over because we didn't have any money and not much gas. I reached over to turn the key off. I didn't know that he had gone in and had held up somebody for some money. And he was in a hurry, of course, when he got in the car, and he pitched the money over in my lap, and it like to scared me to death. I didn't know what he'd done. And then he got all over me for turning the key off, you know. So we started on down, and it was a fine mist of rain. This black mud and this little country road, and the road was so slick that we made a turn, complete turn, and there was a deep ditch on the side, and he liked about 3 inches going off in that ditch, the back tires. I got out with Clyde to see, you know, if we could do anything, and when I saw what predicament it like scared me to death, and Bonnie kept saying, "Jean, go, go. Don't be caught with us. We're going to be caught right now. Don't be caught with us." And I started I walked about 3 steps and I looked back. I couldn't leave her. So I walked back to the car, and Clyde ran across, jumped the ditch, and went over and tore some barbed wire off the man's fence, and he put it on his front bumper. We waited for the first person to come by. It was a lady and her son, had a brand new car. So Clyde said, "If you'll pull me out of this, well, I'll give you $20. And she said, "Percy, you know what happened last time we pulled somebody? It dented our car. It scraped up our car." Anyway, she let us hitch onto her, and they pulled us out. But all people were gathering, you know. And Bonnie kept telling me, "Mingle with the crowd. Leave with them. Leave with the crowd. Don't let them know that you're with us." I couldn't do it. I had to go along with her because she was sick. And I couldn't leave her anyway, regardless of what would have happened. So they pulled us out, and Clyde cut the wire real quick and spun around them, and away we went. Yeah, that's the only time that I know of that I have was ever with Clyde when he held up anybody. And I didn't know that he was holding them up, and I know she didn't, or she never would have let me turn the key off.
Billie Jean, how long were Bonnie and Clyde fugitives?
I'd say around 2 or 2.5 years.
Do you have any idea how many banks he robbed?
2 banks is all that I think that Clyde robbed.
He had a reputation for hitting banks all over the Southwest.
Clyde didn't live high. Clyde mostly robbed filling stations, major filling stations, no small ones. He always figured that the major filling stations could afford to lose money more than the little man.
Do you have any idea how many people Clyde was supposed to have killed?
No, I don't have any idea. I know how many that, I couldn't even say how many he was accused of killing.
Were the newspapers fair to Bonnie and Clyde?
No, they were not.
Were you ever with them when they were reported to be somewhere else?
Yes, I was. The way we would get our newspapers, we'd drive down a country road, and they'd have the mailboxes out in front of their house, you know. We'd see a newspaper and we'd get it. Clyde would hand it over to Bonnie and say, "See what we've done now. See how many banks we've robbed now in Texas. We're in Kansas."
While you were in Kansas, was Clyde accused of robbing a bank in Texas?
A bank in Texas was robbed when I was with Clyde and Bonnie in Kansas.
And they were
accused of it.
Billie Jean, we've mentioned that you served time because of your association with Clyde and with your sister. How old were you when you were first arrested?
I was about 18 and a half. The sheriff in Dallas sent some deputies out and took me to jail, and he questioned me, and he got mad because I didn't know anything, wouldn't tell him anything. So he puts me in the psycho ward.
Did you really know anything?
We never knew anything.
What was his charge against you?
He just kept me. He was trying to scare me, see. He thought I knew something, and if he put me up there for a while, it would scare me, and I would tell him. His chief deputy at that time was out of town. And just as soon as he came back, my mother got in touch with him and told him that I was being held in jail in that psycho ward. And he came up about 1:30 one morning and told me to come out, and he let me call my mother, and he told me to tell Mother that I would be home the first thing the next morning. And then they arrested me for a double murder. I left Dallas and I went to East Texas. I had a better chance of working down there where people didn't know me. And I was working down there. I had been working 2 weeks, and district attorney came down, and he got the policemen from the county seat to come over there, and they picked me up, and they took me to one jail, to Longview, and then they took me to Waxahachie. Nobody knew where I was. My mother didn't know. They wouldn't let anybody know where I was. And they put me in Fort Worth, and they had guards all around there. It was a bait, thinking that Bonnie and Clyde, as close as Bonnie and I was, that she, after she found out that they were holding me for double murder, that she would come over and try to get me out.
Did you know where Bonnie and Clyde were at that time?
No, we never knew where they were.
Who committed the double murder?
The person that had Bonnie and Clyde, that told the police where Bonnie and Clyde would be at this certain time when they were killed.
You had nothing to do with it?
I had nothing to do with it.
How much time did you serve?
I served a year and a day.
Gosh, Billie Jean, you were just a youngster at that time. How old were you?
I was 20 when Bonnie got killed.
And how old was she?
Bonnie was 24.
And how old was Clyde?
I think Clyde was 26.
Never got to see much of life, did they?
No, they didn't.
Billie Jean, what can you tell us about how Bonnie and Clyde died? Where did this happen?
Well, it happened around Arcadia, Louisiana. And they were one of the boys that escaped the penitentiary when Raymond Hamilton escaped was with Bonnie and Clyde for months. Clyde and Bonnie were so tired they wanted a place just to rest. So they bought this Henry Methvin's mother and father a little farm down in Louisiana. I don't know how long they'd stay, maybe 2 or 3 nights. But anyway, at that time, I was in jail for this double murder. Bonnie might have been come to Dallas to find out something, if she possibly could, about me. I don't know, because I was in jail. Bonnie and Clyde left the farm, and they told Mr. Methvin and Henry, his son, when to expect them back. Maybe a couple of days, I don't know what time and all. In the meantime, while they were gone, they went to the town and they informed the police that Bonnie and Clyde would be back down that road at around 9 o'clock, May the 23rd, 1934.
Was this 9 o'clock in the morning?
9 o'clock in the morning.